how do we drive more sales, close more deals, serve more customers, and elevate our entire business without spending more time selling, making more calls, or adding to our to-do list? That's the topic for today's session. Hey, my friends, Dan Deegan here. And before we get going, if you like these videos, if you find that this training is helping you, please subscribe. Make sure you click the bell and get notified when we launch new videos, because every week we're dropping new gold for you for logistics and sales professionals across the world. So today's conversation is all about sales audibles. And you might say, well, Dan, what is a sales audible? So a sales audible is like a heat map for your entire sales process. See, this is the one strategy that if you're not looking to start working 12 hours a day, if you're not looking to start making they call it doubling your sales calls every day, doubling every single output that you have, and you're trying to do more, be more, and achieve more in less time, we have to audit our sales sequence. Now, if we look at this from another aspect, so think of it like this: a website, right? They have certain sections of the page where they see people start Xing out. So what they do is they look at those sections. They put what's called a heat map on their website. And they look at those sections. They say, okay, we lost readers here in this section of the article. So what do we need to do? We lost readers here. Same thing if you think about it from a logistics perspective. We think about it about reefers, right? So reefers go in and reefers get heat mapped. And what the heat map does is it tells them where they're losing either heat or cool temperatures in the reefer. And it allows them to put the freight in the most strategic areas that allows them to get the most consistent temperatures. Same thing with our sales cycle. So what would be a heat map on your sales cycle? Okay, so for us, I want to give you kind of 5 strategies that are really going to help you with your sales cycle. So number 1 is your cold call. But part of the cold call deals with multiple tentacles, right? So you have your introduction, you have your primary questioning, you have your clarifying the primary questioning, the answers to the primary questioning. You have like scheduling follow-up calls. Like you got so many tentacles in our specific sales sequence. Where do customers drop off? So the first strategy I want to give you is to sit down and look at your sales sequence and kind of review, or maybe start collecting the data for the next 50 to 100 calls. And what I mean by that is, if you bring, say, hypothetically, you make 100 calls in the next week, okay? In that 100 calls, you bring 20 people into your world, right? So you hit it off on the phone, you're making it happen. You're like, okay, this is working. I like this. Bring them into my world. So they go into your sales sequence. 80 of the 100 are, I'm not interested. I'm already set up. I have no interest in changing, or RFPs or whatever all the other blah, blah, blah is that we get. So you have 20 people in your inner circle, right? Typically, when somebody comes into our inner circle, they should theoretically close at least 90% of them. So the 20 that come in, if 18 don't close, you might have a qualifying problem. And what I mean by that is you might have brought the wrong 20 people in. Right? So that is a sales audible. That is how we heat map our sales sequence. Okay. So if I brought 20 in, realistically, I should close 18 of these deals because I qualified them on the first call. Okay. I'm not closing 18. So my strategy number 1 is going to be, how do I qualify better? Is there better questions I need to ask? Do maybe have to slow things down? Do I maybe have to get the client's attention? Do I maybe have to 8-mile that strategy? And if you don't know what 8-miling your sales sequence is, click down below. I put a link to the YouTube video for 8-mile. Make sure you watch that one that I posted a couple of weeks back, because that shows you how to 8-mile the entire sales call, right? So maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to get a little bit more clear on who my ideal customer is. Strategy number 2 is, if they kind of pass that qualifying stage, but you're feeling like the close is taking forever, maybe I need to look at how I'm structuring the fulfillment in my baseball diamond strategy. How am I structuring that fulfillment of helping them achieve their goals? Am I doing it properly? Am I doing it in the timeline they want? What are we missing? See, those 2 right there can help you double, even triple your close ratios. Because if you're consistent, and just think about this for a second, if you're consistently bringing the wrong people on the bus, then you're going to close a deal. You're not going to close a deal. You're bringing tire kickers on because all they really want to do is talk. They don't really want to do the business. They get that dopamine drip, and you might get that dopamine drip just by having a really good sales call that doesn't lead anywhere, right? It's almost like the over-educating, under-executing scenario where when we educate ourselves, when we watch videos just like this one, right? Like this video is giving you real-world strategies that I use every day to try and get better, right? If you don't execute on these strategies, you're going to lose. Ask yourself this every day when you come into work: how can I give myself a raise? And when we ask the question, how can I give myself a raise? It doesn't mean, okay, I'm going to work 10 hours today instead of 8. It doesn't mean I'm going to make 150 calls instead of the usual 100 that I make or 30 that I make. Like, that's not what it means. It means, how can I, in what I'm doing right now, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in those steps, how can I make each step better to get better results? But if we don't heat map, if we don't understand where customers are dropping off, we will never, ever be able to fix it because we're not working with the data. So step number 1 is start tracking what's happening with your customers. Step number 2 is start at the beginning. Focus on that qualifying. If you're bringing customers in and you're not closing, that means you're not qualifying properly. Is there another maybe 2 or 3 questions you need to ask on the cold call? Right? Like, hypothetically, here's a good one. Hey, if all this works out, are we going to do business together? I think it's a great question because all of it might work out and they might be really hesitant on pulling the trigger because of a relationship. Well, yeah, if it all works out, we could talk about it. Well, what does that mean, talk about it? Like, are we going to do business if we go through all these hoops and give you what you need to fulfill your goals, dreams, desires for both your company and your department, right? Like, these are all real questions we need answered. Because how many times have you had clients that just kept dragging it on and on and on? And every call, you're like, oh, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the call. It's going to make the bacon. I'm going to get it on this call. And then 15 calls later, you're still having the same conversations, right? Like, where do people drop off? You might find that you're all good all the way through and all of a sudden you can't close. Your closing ratio is dropping off the edge of a cliff and you're saying, well, how come I can't close? Well, then we go back and we say, how do we heat map the auditing cycle of fulfilling their goals and desires? Then all of a sudden you take that and you go back and you realize, man, all these ones I'm not closing is because I didn't fulfill their goals. I didn't fulfill their why they buy. Okay, how do I do that? Well, you might find that the end result, that end close ratio, is actually 3 or 4 steps back. You missed a step. But if you don't analyze it and you don't stop and look at the data that comes with it, and sometimes this could be overwhelming, right? Some of you might say, Dan, God, if I have to do this overwhelming, it's going to take up half my day. And I'd like to challenge you on that because it's not. It won't take up half your day to get this data. If you do it as you go and create the habit of doing it as you go, you're going to say, okay, I sent out 30 emails today. I got 3 replies. The 3 replies that I got were really like my ideal customer. Okay, so to me, that's a win because you're repelling 27 people away from you that aren't your ideal customer and you're bringing 3 in. So with those 3, you do the test all the way through. With these 3, I should close at least 2 of them, if not all 3. If you don't, where does it fall off? Then we go back to the beginning. We say, okay, if I change this wording of my intro email that I want people to come in and get on a phone call with me, how does that work? We test again and we test again and we just keep testing until we find the process that works. Now, for all of you that are sitting there going, Dan, you know what, man, I'm at 20% and I'm rocking it. That is awesome. And I love it. But what if you were to go back and do a sales audit and get to 35% close? What would that do to your business? No more work, no more effort, no more additional hours, no more stressing out about making more calls. The same process you're doing right now, if you can move to 20 to 35%. No more effort, a hell of a lot more payout. That's sales audibles. That's what we have to do. We got the cold call portion. We got the qualifying portion. We got the follow-up portion. We got the transition them from cold, warm to hot leads. Then we got the close. Those are your steps. At what part of these 5 steps do things start falling off? When we realize that, we go back 1 or 2 steps. Sometimes you have to go back to the beginning and say, does what I say, do, or act, or create, how does that impact here? And how does that impact here? And how does it impact here? And how does it impact the end result? Once we do that, we will very quickly come to the realization, like you'll see the gaps. You really will. And I know for me explaining it as opposed to like drawing it out, I'm left-handed. I just had surgery, so I actually can't draw it out, which is why I'm trying to visually give you the explanations. Because if I were to draw it, it'd be like a 2-year-old trying to draw you a process map. Y'all just wouldn't want to see that. But if we can visually see it, right? And visually put it up on your wall and use those 5 points and just create ticks. Like today I had 30 ticks that led to 3 follow-up calls. Those 3 follow-up calls led to 1 meeting. That 1 meeting led to a customer. Okay, I'm losing 2/3 of the people in this section. What do I need to do in this section or the section before to get those 2/3 producing more at the output level? I hope that makes sense. I am on my hands, but I will follow up with an actual drawing of this and really show y'all what exactly it is. And this is going to be part of my all access pass inside the high performance logistics sales membership. So if you haven't, checked that out at www.dandeacon.com or click below, get a part of the SSE masterclass, because that masterclass teaches us how to sell the 3 things that nobody sells, but everybody wants to buy, and helps you get to that next level. So before I go, my friends, remember, subscribe to the channel. There should be a button all around here. Sales Audibles, call an audible, right? Like when football players are at the line of scrimmage and they realize this play that we're going to do doesn't work. How do I call an audible and change the play to something that works? That in essence is the nucleus of Sales Audibles. How do we know which part of our sales sequence is not working? And again, I'll repeat it because I think it's worth repeating over and over again. People out there that are doing, I'm talking millions of dollars in business. What if you could double that business by not doing any more work, just simplifying a few of the processes and adjusting a few of the things you do along the route? What if you can double your profit? What if you can double your business? What if you can serve twice as many people? That's the strategy I'm talking about. Go in every day with the idea, with the strategy, with the intention of how can I give myself a raise? Until next time, my friends, go out there, make every call educational, crush your sales, give yourself a raise every day, and you're only one sales sequence away. Don't forget to subscribe. Talk to you later.